So a question from a client is if they have a Schlage E or EB series lock. The Dorchestor is the design, and I'll show you where you can find some old catalog information on this Schlage lock and possibly even installation instructions. But I have one in my collection literally 15 feet behind me. Well, I have a lock. This is an EB51 Parthenon by Crown. That is an antique brass on the outside, Parthenon style, with a crown polished brass on the inside. So it's an E series, but it's a B, so it's got a deadbolt in it. This lock was actually, I bought this lock from the son of a former employee of Schlage who worked for Schlage in the 50s and 60s, who was an engineer. Its lineage of the lock is, it's funny because the shipping label says Schlage lock employee sales, employee cash sales, Schlage lock 2401 Bayshore Boulevard, San Francisco, and they were most definitely headquartered in San Francisco for a real long time. So this was owned by, an engineer that worked at Schlage. The son also, I also bought from the son a absolute mint condition 1936 Schlage catalog, and I'll show you where you can look at that as well. I believe that I've taken this out one time, which is probably this will be the third time this has ever been removed from the box, would be my guess. It was probably a project like many that your intentions to start the project are wholesome, but it doesn't get off the ground floor. So I'm going to pause this. Well, I'm just going to get it pulled out here so you can see it. There's a packing list in here as well. This is, I suppose, an unboxing is to a certain extent. So that's fine. And the reason I want to pull this out, I know that I have at least one other E or EB series lock in my collection. Yeah, the date on this is, these locks would have been well discontinued by this time. I may have had the decades wrong that he worked there. It's fun, yeah, okay, because this packing list shows the late 90s, which I would have bet that this material was long discontinued by that point. I believe that it was actually, although others have told me that it wasn't discontinued until the late 90s. I found it impossible to get them in the first half of the 90s. So I want to pull out the interior components here. Yeah, the Parthenon outside grip is, yeah, so this will do. Okay. Obviously I'm doing this, look at this. Now that is a knob. That's a Schlage crown. Really cool. I have another lock that has a crown knob on it in my collection. A beautiful, large, ornate 6-inch diameter. That's what a crown would have looked like. Really, really nice knob. So, what I'm looking for now is the interior escutcheon, which is here. Yeah. So, okay, so let's take a look. Now, the initial, whether or not this is on is not really going to matter very much for us, because what the client's question is most likely really drawing to, so imagine that this is on, I'm just going to put it down, is how do you take the inside handle off? Well, there's a spring-loaded tab that's right here, and when you push that knob onto the stem, okay, it's now on there. It's just such a nice mechanism. In order to get it off, you're going to depress that tab that's there. My fingernail will likely even do it as well. It does. I depress the tab and I can pull it off. At that point, you'll be able to pull the inside escutcheon off. Now, without looking at the installation instructions, it's quite obvious that there are just these 2 screws that are going to hold that escutcheon plate on. But I'm not really satisfied with that being the final answer. So we're going to dig a little bit deeper on, this could be years, again, before I take this out of the box. So I have no intention of really installing this. It's just for the collection. Schlage being a company whose name is quite seminal in the history of American lockmaking. It's likely the most recognizable name in the industry, I might argue. However, Schlage is absolutely a newcomer when it comes to the world of commercial locks, in the sense of the age of the company. And if you look at Yale, P.F. Corbin, Sargent, these are companies that have been in business since the mid-19th century. So Schlage was a Johnny-come-lately. Walter Schlage got his patent for the cylindrical style lock in, I think, the early 1920s, in that range. He was known as the Lock Wizard, was his nickname. His father was an engineer or a mechanic or some mechanical field. And yeah, so actually just quite coincidental. So I've demonstrated how you depress that tab on the inner mechanism to pull the knob off. And it just so happens that the installation instructions I have right here are going to show you how you're going to remove those 2 screws to pull that inside plate off. Okay. Then part of that inside assembly is going to attach to the exterior half. You can obviously see the screw that's going there. That's going to hold that on. So I hope that this has demonstrated adequately how to remove that. There's going to be a tab. You'll pull the trim off. From there will be 2 screws. Pull the inside escutcheon off. Then you can get to the screw that will ultimately hold the outside handle on. So if you need to disassemble it, that's where you start. Let's switch to the screen view and let's take a closer look at some supporting documentation. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Okay, let's take a look at what information I do have here on the Schlage. Yeah, okay. So here's what we're going to do. From our website, one way or by the time you're seeing this video, the design is possibly, well, sooner or later you're not going to be seeing this. It'll be a different design. But currently, if we get to Contact Us and then Video Gallery, and then on this page we're going to find Schlage. I'm just Control F for Schlage. We'll find Schlage E and B series lock review. E-lock templates, E-lock service manual, E-lock instructions, EB templates, E and B series photo gallery, lock catalog. Oh, that's fun. From 1978, there's one from 1982. The door preparation. So let's take a look at the E-lock instructions. Let's see what that shows us. Okay, yeah, here we go. remove inside trim. Use screwdriver to depress knob catch in slot underneath and near base of knob and slide knob off spindle. So, the knob catch they're referring to is going to be right down in here. Depress it, pull the knob off. Remove escutcheon from inside mechanism, see operation 8. Remove knob from inside escutcheon. Remove knob and escutcheon from inside mechanism. So, 2 screws are going to hold this on. And there you go. That answers the question. From there, you'll be able to continue to remove, there is shown, I believe, oh, here it is. This shows attaching it. So, I'd be very careful with this. You don't want to scratch anything. You don't want to put a beautiful scratch on your escutcheon. Depress knob catch with screwdriver. Depress it or same to pull it off. Now this here doesn't show any holes in the trim. I for a moment thought that may be held on with a spring tab that you see on Schlage A-line locks, but I don't see that here at all. So the drawing just must be, yeah, no, it's here. Depress catch on snap. Okay, so I need to grab another lock. I'll grab the lock when we switch back. So when I first saw this question, I thought to myself it was the wire spring tab that you see on A-line locks. And this is referring to it, I believe. So in this case, I believe there's more than one way to remove this stuff. And the client may have the way that I will show you in a moment. And we'll switch back to the screen view for that. But those 2 catalogs, 1978, Dorchestor is mentioned here. So our client has this nice ornate exterior trim here. That's fun. This is an EB series. So it's an E series when it's just this. When you add the deadbolt, it becomes a B series. Then we had one from 1982. And the Dorchester is not in here. The one that was most common was the Plymouth, just in terms of volume, and it's probably because it was the least expensive. But when someone was ordering it for themselves, you would definitely see, in my experience, when I was working in the very early 90s, and they ran by finishes as well, meaning this Parthenon was always in 609 finish, or antique brass. The Plymouth was always in polished brass. The Murchison, which is a more modern look, was always the polished chrome one. You know, that if someone wanted polished chrome, they weren't asking for Plymouth, they were asking for Murchison. The Bowman was fairly common as well, just a little different than the Plymouth in the sense of, if you want something that's not the Plymouth, we'll try the Bowman. And obviously these designs have changed. So somewhere in the website, you can click the logo, you get to the word manufacturers, wherever you can find it, then do a find function on your keyboard for Schlage. And here is that 1936 catalog that I also bought from the Schlage, the son of that Schlage employee. The E-Lock didn't exist then. There was a Schlage Home Planner's Guide, 1952. Let's open that one. Schlage Locks Guide for Builder's Hardware, 1961. 1962 catalog. These documents are going to be substantial in their size. So you may want to save them locally. This is just, I think, the Home Planner's Guide. And that other lock that I have in my collection is a massive escutcheon like this. Really beautiful. This is a 1961 catalog. You'll need to, like I said, save these locally so that you can view them because their file size is just tremendous. Here is that 1936 catalog. Some Sometimes what's nice is just to be able to change the page number there, and then it will load to that page. And I have this physical catalog in my library. And on this page I've landed on in this catalog, it lists the different series A, B, C, D, E, F, K. The A is grade 2 cylindrical. The C and the D were the same lock, except the C was a non-ferrous or stainless steel version. The B were deadbolts, still are. The E, that grip that was there, was obviously the grip handle. And the page changed because I'm loading it while I'm recording this. This is, well, this I show as the 1936 catalog. And frankly, this larger file is called the 1926. No, it's 1962. Yeah, 1962. So this right here is a wafer lock. You can see those unusual shaped key. And I'm just, waiting for the pages to load. The point of the matter is you too can do that. And if you have adequate patience, you will definitely be able to scan through these pages. But like I said, save it locally. All right, well, in my 1936 catalog, I was able to find the E200 series. I don't know them as E2 something, just E51 or EB51. This could have been the predecessor, but that latch bolt is likely the same latch bolt that you can still get your hands on today. Modern design. Athens. There's Parthenon. My goodness, that is the same design I have. 60 years later. I mean, it's not identical, but it's pretty close. You get houses, it seems on the West Coast, I've had customers have called lately, and that's actually where this E-lock came from. Wow, that's Futuro, just beautiful industrial design, right? There's your Plymouth, not changed very much. Mid-20th century homes, they're going to have these E-grips out there. You're going to want to preserve your E-grip as long as you can, because there's your Dorchestor from 1936. Here it is. This trim I've seen out in the wild. At least I believe I have. That is some really great Art Deco type right there. Anyway, lots of fun stuff in this catalog to look at. I had just made a mention about you're going to want to keep it going. So contact us, video gallery. Let's search for Schlage E and B series. We're looking for the typical door preparation. That's why. We can look at the template. It might be 3 inch and 5/8 diameter holes, E-lock templates, 1.5 inches. So 3 1/2 holes would get you there. Here, here, well, here, here, and here, and then you'll just make that all straight. The problem is you have an E-lock that's failed. Guess what? There's no other lock that's going to fit into this prep. So do what you need to do to keep it rolling, working. If you need a latch bolt, we can sell you the latch bolts because they still work. It's the same design today, and it would be those latch bolt part numbers are 12-100. There it is right there. That's a 2 3/8. And then there's a 12-103, 2 3/4. Okay, same latch. The next part of this video literally shows the tab, because I went and took a separate video of me kind of showing where the tab is hidden, if your model has that. And we'll pick up after that. Thank you. If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. Unfortunately, don't have a lock to show you, but I've got one installed on my door here, and that spring tab is actually right there. So when you remove the knob by that, you then depress that little spring tab that's right there, and you'll be able to pull the inside escutcheon off is how that's done. So if there's any way that I can help on these grand old Schlage E-Series locks, let me know. I don't know a lot about them, except the fact that when I started in the industry, you could still purchase the Bowman, the Parthenon, the Plymouth, the Murchison, and you know, maybe another trim design. They got to the point where the EB series, I think, was in the $300 range. Beautiful, solid brass, great deadbolt, but you didn't sell a lot of them, or at least we didn't, and I imagine the same happened to Schlage, that eventually they discontinued them. Now, they had always made grip handles, but they were... What's unique about the Schlage, it's not unique, completely unique, but what was extremely attractive about it is you had 2 points of locking. So your thumb piece had a cylinder on it itself. So if you had an E51, you had a complete locking thumb turn. You could stick your key in, you could pull that latch bolt back, you can unlock the button on the inside. That trim, of course, is operable, but when you unlock the button on the inside, now your thumb piece is operable. You push and turn that button, your thumb piece on the outside is now locked. You can't get in unless you have the key. You want added security? You add the deadbolt. So you can buy an E51, or you can buy an EB51. And the B series was that 400 series type deadbolt that they made for years, which is a long favorite of mine. And I enjoy answering these questions because I learn a little bit in the process as well. I didn't realize the Dorchestor was showing up in the 1936 catalog. I now know that. Any questions on this or any other Schlage product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you. Thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.